This is a VHS player. If you find yourself asking, why is the quality so awful through any of the clips later on, this is why. I had to buy one of these off eBay in order to watch this VHS, because this movie was released direct to video and then no one cared. Hell, the only reviews I could find here on YouTube of this are reviews of the VHS case, not even the movie itself. Me, though, I've seen this movie more times than I can or would like to count. And despite its many, many faults, it's a movie that encapsulates a decade. The plot is simple. A group of disaffected 20-somethings at the cusp of a new millennium find themselves being squeezed by a heavily corporatized America, and resolve to get their revenge through some very illegal hijinks. Why are you typing Office Space? Stop typing. They are two very different movies. Office Space had two Bobs, and also a budget. Look, let's just admit there are significant overlaps and move on, or else we'll be here all day.
Coming soon at Blockbuster.
I'm gonna level with you. These ads are not good, nor are they tonally consistent with the material, but they are seared into my brain just as much as the rest of the movie. They're an indelible part of the experience, truly, like watching that InSync video at the end of Tarzan. You might be used to the skip ad button, but back in my day, skipping ads meant risking shredding the tape you were trying to watch, so better just to let them play out. The first one is about some rich jerk, let's call him Ultron, who buys an obscenely nice apartment only to find that its previous occupants, Michael Caine and Professor McGonagall, have decided to continue living there despite dying.
Oh, come, it is our house.
He's a rich jerk who doesn't want to get married, and the ghosts tell him to grow up, and spoiler, he does. 10 out of 10 trailer, wouldn't recommend actually watching the movie. The second one is for a movie called Freak City, and it's your standard 1999 hospital affair. Think The Bumblebee Flies Anyway or Girl Interrupted, and you'll get the gist. Except those are actually good. 2 out of 10. Exceedingly cringe. This third one is where it gets really interesting, as we get to see Sir Ben Kingsley in Sweeney Todd. Only it's not a musical and tries to take itself entirely seriously. I gotta say, this one does not have the dramatic stakes it wants to, but it is absolutely hilarious the whole way through. 20 out of 10 ad, watch the musical instead.
And now, our feature presentation.
Ooh, Square Dog Pictures. That's a rare logo. After the onslaught of ads for other vastly different genres of movies, your mind might have wandered a bit. So the prelude starts us off with a short series of vignettes set to the absolute bop of a tune that is Roy Orbison's Workin' for the Man. It's both heavy-handed and on the nose enough to knock out Mike Tyson, as we follow a tree from logging to sawmill to pressing and packaging in the process of becoming paper. This setup is great. It fills the time usually left to atmospheric music and swooping shots with a relevant and pointed metaphor about how capitalism crushes everything it touches into a standardized, blank sheet of paper. And then we get a visual joke about a Save the Forest flyer getting printed on the corrupted corpse of the forest. It's even misspelled. The first proper shot of the movie is our own Stanley Simon being rudely awakened from a nap to be accosted by a customer. Just listen to this dialogue.
I need to make a copy. That's what we do here, sir.
It's jarring, it's funny, it's bitingly realistic retail. Less realistically, the customer proceeds to, in succession, debate,
Sign outside said copies are 6 cents each.
threaten,
I'm a senior. I'm a member of the American Association of Retired Persons. ARP. You want to mess with the seniors, go right ahead, young man.
and then fake a heart attack,
Why you... Oh, no.
all in an effort to get a 19-cent discount. Now, I'm going to harp on the writing later on, but I just want to stress that this opening scene puts in some serious storytelling work. It only takes about 4 minutes for the movie to establish the setting, the tone, the characters, who I'll get to in just a second, and the stakes. Beyond that, the setups and payoffs are insane in this movie. Let me just do a visual representation of how many individual things are laid out here, including both the surprise finale and denouement in one fell swoop. Look at that. Marvelous. Anyway, through this scene we get to see Stanley as a well-meaning slacker. He sleeps on the job, sure, but he's happy to help customers meet their needs and even values human life more than 19 cents.
Christ, I should have just given you the counter for the 6 cents. I'm such an idiot.
It's a real save the cat moment right here in the beginning. The old man laughs in Boomer and runs away, leaving Stanley with 6 cents and impotent rage, which he assuages by spending a nickel to get some candy from the gumball machine in the shop, before we're introduced to our foil character, Bob.
inter-office meeting. If you'll turn to page 1 of your... did you punch in today?
Yes,
Because I can't do the payroll if you don't.
Bob, yeah.
Okay.
Bob is an uptight, business-minded man with big dreams of finding his niche in the market. He's Stanley's best friend, housemate, and business partner with a degree in economics.
Stop that.
And Bob clearly is the driving force between all three of those endeavors. It comes up in a totally natural way that Stanley had won a substantial sum through a lucky contest. Here, I'll just let them explain.
Be practical here. When I made that half-court shot for the $100,000,
I took you to that game.
yeah, but when the newspaper guy asked me what I was going to do with the money, you chimed in, we're going to open a copy store. And I thought, it's a good idea. And then you came up with the name.
Long shot copies.
Which, at the time, seemed really funny.
Still makes me chuckle.
See what I mean about the writing? You get a sense for these two guys and their whole deals in just a few lines. Brilliantly done. Now if only they could put that towards a cohesive message. We get a brief cutaway to Stanley's longtime girlfriend Vicky, who ends up rounding out our primary characters later on, and her friend Nan. Yes, that is Eric Foreman's sister. As they discuss a way to spice up their relationship, as you do, per the advice of Cosmo, setting up a mystery Mousker tool for us to use later. Like 30 seconds later. Because we then cut back to Stan and Bob as they bicker until they're interrupted by a fax, which is delightful. And after some killer leitmotifing for these three goons in suits, we meet one of the supporting characters, Seth. He's got an accent and he's a little dim, and that's about the extent of his character.
Stink Puppy? I thought the name of your band was Dung Pile.
Yeah, well, we had to change the name, didn't we? Turns out there's another band in Austin called Dung Pile.
Fucking Austin.
Normally, that would be a bad thing, but here it works, as the supporting cast does just that. Support. They provide humor and commentary and keep the main character from getting stale in our minds, and they do it without distracting the audience with an arc of their own. After Seth leaves with a line that took me literally 15 years to parse,
Brought from home, you plum.
Bob comes in with a question we've all asked at one time or another.
Who faxed you their ass?
Nice. Also, not only did Vicky invent sexting, but she did so with class.
How do you know that the ass was intended for me?
There's a cover page.
And Stanley seems to agree when he answers the phone.
Long Shot Copies, copy shop where you can fax your ass with class. You should write that down. That's a good slogan.
Fax.
Fax.
I guess you got the fax I sent you.
The two talk for a bit. Vicky mentions one of their mutual friends is getting married after only a couple months of dating, with some banter to show that Stanley is both oblivious and allergic to commitment. Vicky asks for a tat for the tit she sent, and he is so down until she reminds him that they have a dinner date with her parents that day, and then drops another bomb proving that she is beyond a doubt the best 90s girlfriend.
Somebody faxed you their tits. I'm going in the back.
So Stan, being the dumbass he is, decides to photocopy his penis and fax it back to his girlfriend. I should specify why he's a dumbass beyond this joke.
And large.
Consenting adults in 1999 should be allowed to photocopy whatever parts of themselves they like, but an important part of this is to lock the goddamn front door before slapping it on the glass. Since he didn't, Stan is caught with his pants down not by one, but two encounters. The first is the gaggle of suit goons from before, taking notes on the girth of Stanley's shop.
Excuse me. Is this store 1,800 square feet?
1,700. Why is everybody so obsessed with size?
Thank you. You've been very helpful.
Before leaving mysteriously. The second is, wait, can I just take a moment to praise the way this movie uses such a light, effective tone for the score? Listen to these two shots, seconds apart.
Oh. Hiya, welcome to Long Shot Copies, home of the coldest copiers in town. Hello, Mr. Elias.
Stanley.
Yeah, I wouldn't come back here. We've had a problem with this machine leaking radiation. Whoosh!
The second is building owner, Mr. Elias, who sets up this bomb of irrelevant reference.
Stanley, what does the word rent mean to you?
A vibrant musical that champions the voice of the disenfranchised, much like myself.
Before he explains that the boys have 2 weeks to pay all their back rent or be evicted, and then joyfully jaunts away, happy in his position as a capitalist overlord who we'll never see again.
See you in 2 weeks when I evict you.
Okay, I see that.
Stanley removes his penis from the copier just in time to explain to Bob the situation with rent. Stanley then pushes literally the only work there is to do, making bingo cards for a local event, onto Bob, faxes his self-portrait over to Vicky, and then dips to prepare for dinner with her parents. We get a setup shot of Vicky, her mom, and sister Jessie while they're getting the food ready. Carol asks if there's a specific reason for inviting her boyfriend of 3 years over, apparently for the first time. Just put a pin in that. We'll circle back to this nonsense later. Vicky replies that she'd be the first to know, and her mom hits back with,
You know, they always blame the mother.
Then we jump to the actual dinner, which is the most uncomfortable a dinner can be without physical violence. First, Vicky's dad ignores the group to fight on a work call during Grace. Then we find out that the mom is going to be reading bingo cards for the first time next week.
Here we are. 7-layer salad, a house speciality.
One of the layers is mayonnaise.
Why the hell is Jessie even in this movie? Don't answer that. I'd rather not know. The night devolves into a game of Yahtzee that goes about as well as one could expect. And then when the dad does enter the scene, he becomes combative and berates everybody involved, like the eventual hero he becomes.
No, you just stay where you are. This is what you have to look forward to, you see?
I don't want to hear this.
Well, maybe you need to. What kind of life are the two of you going to make for yourselves? You can't even move out of the house you grew up in.
I am going to graduate school.
Oh, fine. You pay for it this time. I'm not wasting any more of my money.
Mom, I have nothing to say about it. Oh, well, that's just great. Great. Thanks a lot. Thanks for believing in me.
After the dinner scene that runs 3 minutes while feeling like an eternity, Stanley and Vicky walk through the abandoned streets of their nondescript podunk town. The two discuss how uncomfortable the dinner was, and Stanley decides now is the time to try to get busy with his girlfriend in public. Did I mention Stanley's an idiot? Ignoring the fact that both these characters are almost 30, an age where getting caught naked in a playground is like a super crime, there's also the complete lack of regard for the emotional context here. Vicky talks about her feelings while Stan continues being the biggest fuckboy. Stan proclaims,
Come on, let's get it on for destiny.
and Vicky lays the cards out on the table.
I love you. Will you marry me?
And then Stan hurls, as you do.
Come on, Stan!
Buckle up, though, because we don't dwell on this absolute unit of a moment. Instead, we shift without popping the clutch to Bob, set on maximum Bob energy.
Up and at 'em, partner. You gotta get up early if you want to soar with the eagles.
Fuck a duck.
Bob, despite his degree in economics, bought running clothes in order to sprint from their home to their failing copy store.
You've stopped taking your medication, haven't you?
Don't need it. Come on, get up. We're running to work from now on.
Healthy body, healthy business, as they say. During the jog, Stan fills Bob in on the recent happenings, and we're given a view into exactly how insightful Stanley is.
I think Vicky's unhappy.
Well, she is dating you.
It's good.
Kind of was.
Stanley states that the best course of action is to completely ignore the situation and hope that everything just works out. The archetypal reluctant hero in need of some plot to come and hit him over the head. Luckily, Bob has the solution to all our problems.
This is the solution to all our problems. Ta-da!
Anything they can copy, we can copy better.
We can copy anything better than them.
No, we can't.
Yes, we can.
I'm not gonna sing.
So Bob calls the local news to get eyes on their plight. Meanwhile, back at Vicky's, Eric Foreman's sister is busy gossiping with Vicky while doing some laundry as besties. As you do, I guess. Was this a thing? But they talk about how awful of a partner and person Stanley is for throwing up on his girlfriend of 3 years after she proposed and then avoiding her presumably indefinitely. Foreman's sister asks if Vicky is really doing this loser's laundry. We get to see Vicky consider the facts as laid out above and think, he really does suck, and stating that she threw a red shirt in with his whites before cutting back to Stan and Bob for the single most peak moment of the entire movie. Let's just take this in together.
Excuse me, gentlemen. I'd like 100 of these in solar yellow, please.
Foolish samurai warrior.
Yes, that's right. Maybe you were watching very closely during the credits and you already knew Phil Lamar was in this movie, but I guarantee you are not ready for the absolute beauty of a character he plays. He plays a communist street performer who goes by the name Marky Marks, the Red Rapper. Please, listen to this masterpiece.
The year was 1848. Karl Marx sat down to not procrastinate. Stayed up all night, wrecking his brains, cause the proletariat would lose nothing but their chains. Communists, manifesto, fresh. Lenin and Trotsky didn't take no dive. Joseph Stalin barely stayed alive. Here is my church, here is my steeple. Communism says take the power to the people. We the people, whoa, whoa, whoa. We the people, whoa, whoa, whoa. We the people, whoa, whoa, whoa. We the people, What the? Hey man, what you doing? I haven't even got to the McCarthy era yet.
So that's like it, right? Where do you even go from there? Well, the movie uses this as a chance to set up some internal conflict with the Red Rapper's communism and Bob's presumably socially liberal but fiscally conservative political beliefs. Top-tier humor. Immediately after the two spar over their beliefs, we are treated to the bare minimum of an attempt at theft.
What? Enough talk. To the streets. Your door's stuck.
Can't make it, the shit's stuck.
And what I can only describe as citizen's arrest at Stapler Point. Stan plays the middleman, though, diffusing the tension by convincing Bob they could use Marky's expertise in their battle, and Marky that he could perform volunteer labor in exchange for flyers for, what was it again?
Question number 3. What is the purpose of your visit?
Requisitioning supplies to protest the Maine.
Huh. Kind of sounds like these two underdog heroes are exploiting the threat of state violence and their ownership of the means of production to get free work out of someone. Good thing they're aware of that irony, right? No? It's not addressed at all? Okay. Thank you, rhetorical device, for answering all my questions for me. Anyway, Stanley unites the two using the first of many rousing speeches we'll have to endure before the credits roll. And then, with an additional member in the crew, our humble band of entrepreneurs decide to take the fight to the streets by handing out coupons. Before that, however, the movie drives home how absurdly infantile the main characters are.
Yo, this is a fucked up way to run a business.
Once our gang is assembled, we get another one of those rousing speeches as the suit goons appear in one of the most confusingly cut shots I have ever seen.
Home state of Minnesota. Our enemy is not across the street, I say, but within us. We must fight against that little voice that tells us what we can and cannot do.
Excuse me. Who's in charge here? We don't believe in the division of labor and management. We're all in charge, and we're all workers.
I'm in charge.
How long have you been doing business at this particular location?
18 months, and we're growing. Here's a flyer explaining the services that we have, and there's a little coupon thing on the... And so, in conclusion,
Let's go kick some ass.
This was both clearly dubbed and, added in post. What did shooting this even look like? Why do both sets of actors have such weird blocking? Moving on, we get to see Stan as he meanders around town in his bright blue jogging suit without any flyers in hand as he happens across Vicky, stapling some, flyers of her own. Stan soon realizes that she is posting the facts he sent her all around town with a "Have you seen this penis?" written across the bottom, and grabs the remaining stack while Vicky petulantly keeps stapling the one in her hand. This scene wins me back every time, because while I don't agree with Vicky's methods here, which is a whole other issue, I do agree with her righteous indignation.
I proposed to you, and you threw up on me.
You caught me off guard.
So you couldn't call me today to talk about it?
Making some good points here. And Stan would rather get in a fight and lie and be Stan than buck up and commit to something in his life. And he tries to throw her own insecurities in life back in her face, utterly missing the point of her opening up about them in the first place.
And you even signed it. It's very Warhol meets Kafka.
Well, you're finally using your art history degree. That should help you out a lot when you reapply to graduate school. Again.
Maybe I should just sit on my ass and read comic books and wait for my destiny to smack me in the face so I can fuck on a swing.
It's easy to get lost in the pedanticality of this whole thing, though, and lose sight of the fact that those two are on a public street posting photos of an explicit nature. One character who does not lose sight of that fact is the police officer, who catches Stanley holding a handful of these pages next to a tree with one already stapled up. Thank God Vicky is here to explain.
Oh, please do.
Not only was this man posting pornographic material, he flashed me.
would you please tell the nice officer that I'm your boyfriend?
And he keeps referring to himself as my boyfriend. I think he's a stalker.
All right, pal, come on. Let's go.
Vicky, please, Vicky.
Now you can take some more time. Think things over.
We end on an ambiguous note, as night has fallen on another customerless day. Bob is caffeinated beyond understanding, Seth is nowhere to be found, and Marky finds that all the copy machines are out of toner, reaching the boiling point for many of the subplots laid thus far. Stanley arrives despondent and explains that Vicky bailed him out. Bob asks Stan whether he distributed any flyers in jail.
Yeah, Bob, we ought to be swamped in about 3 to 5 years. Can you kill yourself by drinking toner?
We're out.
Then drops some fortune cookie wisdom.
Stanley, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
You quote to me one more time from a bumper sticker, I'm gonna throw you through that window.
To which Bob says,
You can't hug a kid with nuclear arms?
What? Bob?
and the two get into a knockdown, drag-out brawl in the street where they lay out their overhanging conflicts, and we find out that an unmedicated, overcaffeinated Bob is a bit of a lunatic, and that he has the attention span of a ferret when a news van arrives.
Hey, the press is here.
But not to cover our hero's plight. Instead, the news arrives to cover the Kinko's new promotion, wherein they will honor all competitors' coupons.
Those arrogant weenies! They're going down.
Hey, you know what you sound like? Keanu Reeves from Speed.
Nobody panic. There's a bomb on this bus.
This utterly breaks Bob's resolve, and his mind. As he is blinded by rage, he borrows a bomb from urban guerrilla Marky Marks and steps purposefully into the crowd.
Unveiled an unprecedented new promotion, sure to leave the competitors shaking.
The fuse ignites, and Bob tosses the munition in the air, leaving only desolation and devastation in his wake. Wait, did I say bomb? Let's double check that.
Marky, do you have any stink bombs on you?
Of course. What modern-day urban guerrilla would be caught dead without an ample supply of stink bombs?
Oh. So, as his rage-fueled revenge, Bob let loose a smelly smoke bomb that, according to the next scene, caused a riot?
I caused a riot.
Bob and the crew and the news, apparently, treat this as though it's some sort of terrorist attack. He's completely destroyed by guilt until Stanley manages to rouse him out of his funk with, you guessed it, another speech. One that even comes with a plan and a snappy zoom shot.
Fire up the computer.
As it happens, the plan Stan had is to use the computer to print up some coupons that Kinko would have to honor that would dissuade them from continuing this anti-competitive campaign. For the most part, the plan works.
You buy one, you get a free nipple pierce.
And the crew celebrate by enjoying some casual day drinking while watching the Corpo goons remove the sign advertising their campaign. The crew brings up some concerns that despite winning the battle for the coupon campaign, they still didn't have any money coming in. Stan says not to worry, as he has money covered. Rightfully curious, Bob asks how, and Stan replies,
Warm up your computer.
Before cutting to a scene of the crew counterfeiting sheets of $20 bills set to a bopping late 90s theme song. I cannot express properly how bonkers this turn is. Our heroes literally went from an understandable and effective means of hitting back at a massive corporation into a federal crime syndicate, all while Stanley is on bail from another crime. At no point is this addressed, as the scene after they print the counterfeit $20 legal tender is them handing those bills out in an alley behind their shop. And after that, we see vignettes of those randos using the counterfeit currency to buy single pencils, or in the best instance, an envelope.
I tell you what, just keep the envelope. It's okay.
Sure. That's what you want me to do. I walk out of here with that envelope? You're gonna slap the cuffs on me, aren't you? I put a hex on you! Yeah!
I'm gonna go on a break.
Apparently, this runs the shop out of change, which is a win, I guess. We're treated to some more tension between Bob and the rapping Static Shock.
Well, we told you once and we told you twice. Revolution is the wage of avarice. Stop it. No more rap.
Before Lori drops off the laundry we saw Vicky doing earlier. See, I told you they paid off what they set up. She does so with vicious glee as we get to see all of Stan's delicates have been dyed pink.
You should talk to her. Gee, Bob, do you think? I can take a hint. You don't gotta hit me over the head with it.
Stan takes this awful, rough-starting car and drives over to talk things out with Vicky, presumably so he can then devote his full attention to the now criminal enterprise he and Bob are running. Stan catches up to Vicky at work, which is a pretty inconvenient time to have conversations about one's relationships, but who am I to judge? The two find a relatively private area to talk it out.
I'm afraid.
However, Stan is an idiot, and Vicky breaks up with him.
This relationship is over.
So Stan mopes while Bob tries to motivate him with bumper sticker wisdom.
Stanley, you're forgetting about the revolution. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog.
Stan devotes himself wholly to their now criminal enterprise by cold cutting from the floor to the duo plus Seth as they impersonate police officers investigating a murder in the parking lot of the Kinko.
Well, we have to get these copies made.
Might I suggest the copy shop across the way? Word is they have complimentary coffee.
This scheme plays out, and then we get another scene of Stan moping, and then we get another scheme that involves suggestive mimes.
Fucking mime.
And then another scene of Stan moping, and at this point, Bob is just as fed up as we are.
You gotta get on with your life.
Now, Vicky, I don't have a life.
And this is something new for you?
Where the duo play the part of lunatic pest control experts. They invade Kinko and give an Oscar-worthy performance, and then the two wander off to plan their next crime.
What should we do to him tomorrow?
I don't know anything.
Then we cut to Stan moping once again, and Bob tells him to bucket the fuck up and give some hard truth.
I think I need to call her.
I think that's a good idea.
I wouldn't know what to say.
Then you don't deserve her.
This, I guess, gets through to him. After a second. So he hops up to call, and Jesse answers, and once again, I am baffled as to how this character made it into the final draft. Who knows? Anyway, from Jesse, he finds out that Vicky is moving to Ann Arbor. Like, right now, apparently. So he decides he's gonna have to go make a big show to win her back. Here, the movie does do some pretty great gags, calling back to both the car not starting and Stan falling down while running as he sprints from his shop to her house, where he climbs up the wall and into her bedroom, diegetically singing the song we've heard playing over his moping montage in an effort to express that he's ready to put in the actual effort of maintaining a healthy relationship.
Don't know much. I was thinking out loud and I fell out of touch, but I'm back on my feet and I'm eager to...
And Vicky, rightfully, hits him with one of these. So he tells her that he's a white man in the 90s, and she says that's not good enough.
You can't just walk in here and sing a song and expect everything to be okay.
And he explains further that he's a white man in the 90s and that he's sorry and that he loves her. And she relents. They kiss, and he asks her to marry him, and she says maybe. Then they bone down, as you do, and Stan dreams of a Tarantino-style murder spree of the random people who are also being crushed by the corporate overlords.
I'm here for the man.
Before waking up naked to Vicky's mom gushing about the wedding Stanley promised. Vicky and her mom leave Stanley, naked, to the mercy of Vicky's dad, staring at him like this. He is less than enthused about the news, and begrudgingly tells Stanley he can set him up with a job at the office he works at, and drops some hella societal criticism.
You're just a small worker ant in the ant colony of life. You just do your job, and then one day you die, and all the other worker ants gather together and eat your corpse.
To which Stanley declares in his underwear that he's the new Malcolm X.
Every movement needs a Malcolm X figure, and I volunteer for this one. And baby, our chickens have come home to roost.
And then the dad wanders out, mumbling. We then cut to Stanley at the office, actually putting in the effort to duct tape up the broken window he threw Bob through, and sweep the dust around, all while whistling the Air Supply song that won him the heart of a woman far too good for him, much to Bob's chagrin until he's interrupted by the leitmotif of the Suit Goons. Stanley handles this with confidence, too, as he pretends to speak Spanish.
¿Se habla español?
Perdóname, señor. Necesitamos hablar.
No comprende.
The Suit Goons walk up and hit him with the facts. They drop some evidence of the various crimes the two have done, and the goons say they won't press charges. Instead, they hit the duo with all the things they could have won, including a check for
$200,000?
The two are crushed. Everything they wanted taken from them. Bob is again locked into a loop as Vicky shows up.
Fuck me. That's one way to go. I don't know.
Hi, babe.
Hi.
Hi, Bob.
Fuck.
Okay.
They banter and Bob goes full terrorist again, which Stan utilizes the broken front door latch to contain. Though Bob remembers the window from earlier and leaps through it, ending up stuck in the web of duct tape.
Good work, partner.
Thanks, partner.
You guys gonna get me down anytime soon?
They pull Bob down and he says,
Well, in economic terms, I say we're fucked.
They start considering their options, ending up circling around.
Just need to find a situation where there's lots of quick money.
And through some act of God, get that money.
An act of God with a way to get lots of quick money. God, money.
Before finally closing the loop on...
Bingo! Bingo!
Bingo.
We then, without any setup, cut to the blackout prize of the bingo game Vicky's mom is calling out numbers for. It turns out she is on board with their plan and prepared to actually game the system by swapping out each and every ball with a different one in her bag as subtly as she can, which is not very. Each of our members pull out all the stops to, I guess, disrupt the entirety of the process as much as possible. After some scenes, we get down to the last number, which Vicky's mom fumbles while swapping and accidentally calls out the wrong number, netting some cocky old lady a cool 10 grand and losing our heroes their one last chance to save their store through further crimes.
Read the news, you lose.
The group commiserate as Marky and Seth walk off to drown their sorrows. Stan, however, gets fed up and storms over to the announcement of yet another promotion at Kinko. He stomps up to a few stacks of paper and on the local news gives the biggest, most rousing speech yet, as he offers to provide free copies for everyone there, with a donation if you'd like to help save the little guy. The crowd is wooed and starts to follow him out until the Kinko shill shouts that cappuccino is half price for the next hour, and they all queue up for that instead. Sheeple. After all that, we cut to the trio of leads packing up the shop, really touching on some untoxic masculinity before the Suit Goons drop off a restraining order for everyone at the shop, preventing them from ever entering a Kinko in the US or abroad. The three finish up in the morning, bidding farewell to their shop and the American dream, when in from the door walks Bill Murray's brother again, confidently demanding a copy for 6 cents. He begins to pull the same spiel as before, and Stan explains that the place is closed for business, and that the Kinko across the street can take care of him. Bill Murray's brother says, screw that noise, and Stan says he'll just walk over and do the copy, to which the other two are confused. There's a restraining order. How will he do this small act of kindness?
What about the restraining order?
Skipping over the disguise. We're treated to this motherfucker behind the counter using his corporate power to lord over customers. And after forcefully extracting a please from Stan, the jerk goes to make a copy. Stan, being an absolute idiot, pays for his $1.95 copy with a counterfeit 20 again, and alarms start going off all over the store. And the Suit Goons come up and grab him, and they say,
Oh, wait, now I can explain, sir. There was an old man, he walked in
Congratulations, sir. You are our 1 billionth copy here at Kinko. And for being our 1 billionth copy, you have won the grand prize of our new promotion. This card that I am giving you will entitle you to free, unlimited copies at this Kinko for the rest of your life. Congratulations.
Turns out that Stan wins free copies for life, which we then cut to the future. where Stan and Bob have turned the copy shop with coffee into a coffee shop with copies. Stan and Bob and Vicky took a loan from Vicky's father to pay the rent, and now run a successful business mooching off the man. So that's it. Roll the absolutely insane credits. And the post-movie blooper reel that we really need to bring back.
Action! Ah, fuck. Yes, hello, newsroom. Have I got a story for you? Yes, my name is Bob Stein, S-T-E-I-N. Yes, my friend Stanley, no last name, just Stanley. One. Enough talk! To the streets!
Let's talk about this, right? It's a bananas cast and crew putting a lot of fun and effort into a silly, absurdist millennial piece of media. I'm sorry, does that say Keith Urban did the guitar? How did this movie even happen? It's silly and nearly toothless, and I suppose that feels easy to toss aside as a failing in our post-ironic, post-9/11 comedy world, but there is such a sincerity to be found between the in-between gags. There's a through line from this movie to others, like Idiocracy, where Wilson gets to be his same incredulous white guy self, and had he not cut his teeth on this, and Home Fries, obviously, I doubt we would have seen those other movies flourish. It's reminiscent of Grandma's Boy and The 40-Year-Old Virgin, but without either of those other films' edges. I mention Grandma's Boy because A, it's a funny movie that's also dated as hell, and 2, because they have a lot of similar comedic DNA. Down to the minutia of some scenes.
What was your vitality rating? Duh! No wonder you got killed. No, you need at least a 300 vitality to survive level 16.
So you can't kill the demon at the end of level 6? Do you have the magic arrows? Easy. Here's what you do. Hide behind the boulder.
Maybe that's a tenuous connection, but there's also exceedingly similar motion gags in these two scenes.
Score highly in the decathlon of life.
Flying over the sea.
Okay. It's all circumstantial. However, that's not to even mention the common actor in both movies.
Look, a couple of albinos.
Oh, yeah. What's up, Mr. Teasel?
They each brush up against some societal commentary and both look firmly in the other direction. They could have made some salient critique of society from AARP to Z, but they didn't. I think in both movies' cases, too, this is for their benefit. In fact, the actual plot is so secondary as to not warrant analysis. Instead, I think it's best to review it through the lens of the characters. Things literally fall into place for Stanley, even after we see every single one of his plans backfire. He can't drum up business with coupons, fighting the man just loses them twice what they got from the basketball shot, and in the end it's a loan from his soon-to-be father-in-law that gets them out of trouble somehow. For one thing, he has a bad habit of just listing his current problems to anyone trying to give him advice.
Think that's such a good idea this time?
Bob, we're about to lose our business. We don't have any idea where we're going to get any money in the next 2 weeks, and you got us wearing matching outfits. I don't think that marriage is something you want me worrying about right now.
I guess I now know where I stand with you.
Look, Vicky, the store sucks. Bob's crazy. I'm running. You want to get married.
For another, he has a real tendency to do a lot of crimes.
Yes! We go to every church in town and we steal from the collection boxes.
My dude literally went to jail for posting his bits in public, and yet proceeded to do more and more extreme crimes. Enough to get a restraining order placed by the suit goons who didn't press charges after a terrorist attack. And then he violates that restraining order to appease an old man, only to be given by the same suit goons the solution to all their problems.
This is the solution to all our problems.
Well, that and a large loan from an absolute peach of a padre.
You've really turned this place around. Even I'm impressed.
Well, we never could have paid off the rent without you.
Thanks again for the loan, Daddy.
Small price to pay to see my little girl running a business.
We skip over the intervening time where he was, presumably, a complete jerk about loaning even more of his hard-earned money to one of his daughter's ventures. Speaking of Vicky, this movie, much like Stan, does not know what it wants to do with Vicky. She's introduced as Stanley's girlfriend of 3 years, but they haven't even had a family dinner together, and Stan's live-in best friend doesn't even know who she is.
Who faxed you their ass?
Her arc starts her off unfulfilled in a stagnant relationship and backsliding career and ends with her being a betrothed business owner, but incredibly consequentially, none of this feels like her own actions being paid off.
Thanks again for the loan, Daddy.
Instead, it feels like the capricious whims of a story being wrapped up. When Stan busts through the window singing some sappy love song's chorus and hoping he can just hang around long enough, but enthusiastically this time, that things will work out for him, they do! She forgives him and disappoints her cousin.
I'm going. My cousin's expecting me tomorrow.
And quits her job.
So I thought I'd get a jump on things and start working here now. I quit my job this morning.
Oh, hell.
Was I being presumptuous?
No, it's just that since we were getting married, I didn't mind the fact that the store was going under.
It's like the writers thought they could have their cake and eat it if they moved fast enough. And they were kind of right. Well, I feel like it ends up being kind of half-baked. Some people like half-baked. At least for this pair, it's a fitting end. Wait, wasn't there someone else in this movie? Bob got robbed and Melina knew it.
Yes, my name is Bob Stein, S-T-E-I-N. Yes, my friend Stanley, no last name, just Stanley.
Did they add a last name on the cover of the box because of this gag? Nothing. I can honestly say that despite everything this film tries to say, in effect, it says nothing at all. The characters all have arcs as flat as the earth, with Stan trying a little harder and Vicky feeling a little more accomplished with a business to run, but even despite all these faults, I still like it. There are a lot of flaws, but there are just as many little moments of humor and tight writing and excellent sound design that really make you invested in the film through the very end. It asks 90 minutes and some suspension of disbelief, and nothing more, which is better than a lot of movies I've seen. All in all, I recommend you watch it, if you even can. And hopefully, a few people having fun in front of a camera brings you a little joy for a while. I guess it comes back to that old adage. If you have nothing good to say nothing at all. And if you have to say nothing, you might as well say it well.